How are you today?
Okay. I'm well, thank you. And you?
I'm very well too. I'm very well too. I'm excited to talk to you this morning
Oh,
about Osamede. And now we've talked to like a lot of the main cast. We've spoken to the director and the executive producer. So I've heard a lot of things, right? But I
yeah.
want to hear your story of how, your own narration of how you came to be a part of Osamede.
I was eating noodles and eggs, and James called me, and it was the happiest call of my career. Yo, look, since I was a kid, I wanted to be a superhero. Couldn't be a real superhero, so decided I would play a superhero. Superheroes need to move, they need to jump, they need to fight, they need to kick, they need to fall. So, through sports and other extracurricular activities, I've always had like skating, basketball, swimming, and then I was in dance, and I played a couple of roles in the past where we had to learn stunts through martial arts. I was literally preparing my entire career for
Yep.
Osamede.
Now, I want to see, where does Osamede sit in your filmography? What does it signify for you? What is the significance of this? Where are you, or where were you when this project came in terms of personally, career wise? And where are you now? What has Osamede done? It's not even out yet. What has it done? So I'm interested in that.
I've played movies, I've played roles and played characters where in the moment, it felt like it was what I needed. And I think I've always been lucky in that sense. I'm not the most famous person, but I'm somebody who, when you look into my body of work, you will know I put everything into it. And, I take my craft extremely seriously. So every movie you watch, you'll probably think, oh my God, this must have been her highlights of her career. This must have been her highlights. Kanani came with its own special moments. I got to film it here and in the US with, some American actors. That was exciting. That was like a change in environment and just, I guess, in the process of how film is done. And it was nice to experience it. Tokumbo, action packed, but at the same time, kind of Western, which is good. It was exciting. None, however, have done what Osamede is doing to me. Honestly, the one movie I can say probably would compete with Osamede in my heart is maybe Make a Move, which is one of my first films ever, because that was relatively close to my story in the sense of how I had to fight to be in the industry, even though my entire family is from the medical field and they wanted me to go into medicine, and I had to fight to be, in this. And I promised them, I promise you I will not be useless. They kept saying, hey, she wants to become an actress, so she will this, so she will that. The rumors back then were kind of horrible about actresses. So I had to promise them and tell them I wasn't going to lose my way or lose focus before I came into this. So that was a story close to my heart. Osamede, on the other hand, I needed this. When James called me for this movie, he probably was like, fingers crossed, if you accept in Jesus' name, amen. In my mind, I'm like, bruh, I've accepted already. Like, it's, and when he was like, hey, we'll call management to negotiate, I was like, oh God, this guy doesn't understand I'm already in this. Cause, I am getting on in years, so I'm not 20 or 21 anymore. And that's just the truth. I don't think there's any shame in that. But my athleticism is still exactly where it was from time. Right. It's still very high. I don't play with, my fitness. So it came at the right time. If it had come 5 years later, I'd be like, I'm sorry, I cannot break my knee over this, So it was just the perfect time for me to play a superhero movie. And it was the right time for me to do something that reminds me of where I come from. I left Benin City when I was 11, 12. And since then, I can count how many times I've been back. Not that many times. And although I can still speak my mom's language, which is Ishan, I felt very, very distant from home, especially since my grandma passed. I've not had any reason to go back to Benin. So I felt very distant from my roots. Osamede brought that back. When I landed in the Benin airport, I was like, God, this air smells familiar. When we were driving to Fuga and, all the other towns we shot in, and I was seeing things that, just the scenery I grew up in, and I was like, oh my God, this feels so good. And then the snacks on the road, everything was just home. I needed this, and it's encouraged me to also reintroduce my children to where I come from. Because as soon as I got back, I was like, yes, this Benin I have learned, this language I have learned, I will not forget it. So now I speak it with them when we're in public and I don't want them to eat something. I'll tell them, hey, Ilibayo, I'll speak it in my language. So honestly, I needed this as a mom, as an actor, as somebody who never wants to lose connection to her roots. I needed this, and it came at the right time. And I'm super grateful to Lillian and James Omokwe for both deciding that it was me who would bring Osamede to life.
Wow. Wow. So this is interesting that you mentioned, your kids. I think you have two daughters.
I have three, actually. I have three. I had two almost back to back. So people kind of thought it was one at that time. No, but I have three.
I see. Wow. So, and the story of Osamede, I believe you've seen our video where Mr. James, director James Omokwe, was comparing. We asked him to compare Wonder Woman.
I saw that.
And Osamede, and I'm going to come back to that, right? But when he was explaining that, he said something about the sacrifice Osamede's mom made, which was played by Tosin Adeyemi, right? So I want to get personal, if you permit me. You don't have to answer, but I was raised by my mother mostly. So I love her. I watched her make so many sacrifices, right? And I'll tell you openly, for example, my mom refused to remarry because of me, generally. Basically because of me. Yeah, because, I hated the idea of her with another person. So, and she's still single till now. So, and I'm curious, you have three daughters, and Osamede's mom made this sacrifice to make a daughter into this powerful, into God personified, basically. Since you've had kids and as you're raising them, what are some of the sacrifices you're making and that you will continue to make?
When I was about getting married, and there was a particular female producer in the industry who meant it in a good way. She meant it from a good place when she advised me, Ivie, do not have children now. Your career is about to take off. Everybody's calling you the next this, the next that. Ivie, do not have children now. And I went back home and I tried to understand what she was saying. Although I was young and I didn't have the experience I have now, but to an extent I understood what she meant, that it could derail my career. But that was where my sacrifices began. Because I knew I wanted to have kids at an early age. I knew I wanted to be able to play basketball and football and do all that stuff with my kids. I didn't want to just be at home with them. I love to be active, and I knew I wanted to be an active mom. So I decided to go ahead and have kids. I tried to have them, close together so I could get back to the industry. But coming back was much harder than I thought.
Wow.
A lot of people were no longer taking my calls. The calls were not coming in the way they used to. And that's where the sacrifice started. And at some point, I wondered if the right thing to do was to let go of the Nollywood dream and focus on my children. I felt like that was a good sacrifice. I felt like that would take everything from me. But then I realized I don't, and this is not me trying to say anything negative about women who give up everything for their children. Everyone has their path. But for me, I really, really want to raise kids who one day will say, oh no, I saw my mom work. I saw my mom struggle. I saw my mom not give up on her dreams while still being able to be there for us completely. She never missed any of our games, any of our competitions, or any of our sports. Like, I want them to say that I was able to find a balance between my dreams and the family God has blessed me with. And that's why I haven't given up till now, and I'm still pushing. What Adeyemi, my mom and Osamede did for Osamede is something that I can relate with. I can give up everything for my kids if that's what they need. So the sacrifice in Osamede is something that a lot of African women can relate with. A lot of African women have given up. When I say potential, my God, potential to be great in society, just to be stay-at-home moms so that they can be there for their children physically, emotionally, mentally, and protect them, especially because we're in a world where people, are messed up sometimes. So that level of sacrifice is so powerful, and you need to see the way Tosin played it. Oh my God, that lady, that girl, the casting in this movie. If you think you are the biggest actor, the best actor, you come on this set, on the Osamede set, you will be humbled. Because everybody came correct. Everybody came ready. And Tosin did that. She did that. I'm not even sure what you asked me again. See, I've gone on a whole a whole tangent
No,
completely.
you answered the
But
question.
I
You
hope
answered
that
the question.
answers. I
You
hope
answered,
that answers.
you answered the question. And, who has been the most helpful with your return? Since you said it was a bit of a struggle going to start a family. And now, how have you managed that? What worked? How did you build that back up to now? You're in Osamede and
Hey, man, damn, that question just makes me realize how lucky I am. Because I really don't do much to get roles, though. Like,
thank
I
God.
don't go on social media and I don't do any of the dramatic things. I don't do any of the negative press, bad PR to get people clicking on your name. I really don't do any of that. I just exist and opportunities come and I'm
I
blessed.
like the way you
I'm
said.
blessed. Yeah, I've never really thought of it. Thank you for asking that. But at the same time, there are people that in the past 7, 8 years have been very instrumental in my continuous growth, which is still happening. And one of the first people would definitely be Chris Ode.
Oh,
He is funny enough, I've only been in one of Chris O's projects in the past 7, 8 years, which is Tokumbo.
yeah.
But at the same time, it was just the timing. It was a time when nobody was calling me much. Do you get what I mean? I was still chubby from having my third baby and, my cheeks. I wasn't looking like the sporty girl anymore. And Chris was like, it's your business how you look, please. Are you available? Come and shoot.
I love it.
He said, I need your talent here. I'm not talking about what you look like. And I appreciated that. So Chris Ode would probably be my first. Victor Sanchez Agawa would probably be the second when he called me for Enake, the Africa Magic series. That was a very great platform to be on at the time. This was about 4 years ago. And so many people watch, the 260 episodes, series on Africa Magic. So that was a very good way for people to realize, oh wow, she's still doing this, she's back. And then the calls started coming in again. And like I said, I was eating noodles with eggs when James called me, still not trying to get roles for him. So I would say, in terms of the opportunities I've had, I would say Chris Ode, I would say um Victor Sanchez Agawa, and I would say James Omokwe in the past like 5 to 7 years. Yeah. There have been other people I've worked with, but the project opportunities, and then Lillian, the EP for this movie as well. The project opportunities they brought are undeniable in my growth.
I'm very, very grateful for you to be able to say that I just exist. I love that for you. And I hope it never changes. God will continue to be there for you.
Amen. I like you. God, I like you.
So one of the things that is like really on my mind that was on my mind as I was praying for this was, why are we not talking so much about Osamede's powers? Why? And can you tell me what powers does she have? Because James Omokwe said during our interview with him that we don't even know, like, she has not come.
We didn't even explore the tip of her powers. Yeah. And I like that he did that with the story. James has the contacts to put AI and CGI and all them effects in every scene if he wanted to. I like that he stayed true to Osamede's real power, which is her fearlessness and her bravery. And she used it through her voice. And that for me is one thing that a lot of, not just women, but a lot of women and Nigerians as a whole, I hope are able to find relatable, because she has all them superpowers that can blow up stuff and make things happen and, shake every form of matter there is, but rather than do that at a whim, she would usually dialogue first, talk first, very, very passionate, emotional, young character like that. And the powers are maybe like 10% of the film, if not even less. And I like that he did that. Of course, I would love to be flying and jumping from mountaintop to hilltop, like just bring out the inner child in me and be all over the place. There was a healthy amount of that, but storytelling wise, it was really good, especially when you think of how you want this movie to impact people and filmmakers and just generally the average person. I love that her innate strength was her first source of power before all them other rise up and burst into flames for all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So before we wrap up, I wanted to put your, because you're also a producer, I wanted to put your producer hat on. So let's say we want to do a Osamede sequel, prequel, whatever. And Osamede is going to, in this story, she has to fight Wonder Woman. Why would they be fighting? And how will they now come together? So eventually they will come together, but they will first fight. Then they will come together and fight a bigger evil. That's the story. So what are you going to say is would cause their fight? And I mean, can Osamede die? Because Wonder Woman cannot die, no?
Osamede is literally God power reincarnated. So I don't think there's any extinguishing that one.
That's true. So what would Wonder Woman and Osamede be fighting over? And what is this bigger evil they will be like they would have to leave their differences to face?
If I'm ever in a writer's room for a sci-fi movie, I hope you're there. Like, I love this.
Yes.
Yeah. So I imagine that there will be an out of earth energy that needs to be combined with an earthly powerful ornament in order to become physical and unkillable. Right? And that alien energy realizes that the stone in the Osamede story is the only thing. And Wonder Woman is sent to extinguish that energy, but that energy is on the space after Nigeria, Edo State, to get the stone. And Osamede, Wonder Woman is trying to destroy the stone only because she doesn't want the alien energy to get it. And Osamede, hell no, is not letting anybody destroy the stone and tries to protect it. And that causes an initial fight between Wonder Woman and Osamede until they realize the real evil is the alien energy, I would say.
Ooh. I love it. This
love it. Yeah, that was love it.
This would be nice.
Amazing.
This is the last thing I want to ask you. What was the best experience you had on set? What was the best memory you had on the set shooting this film?
Oh my god.
So that I can ask the question together. Sorry. What do you think people will enjoy the most when they watch you on screen when the film comes out October 7th?
Some things I think the viewers will really enjoy are, like, first I would say the performances. It was clean cut across board from everybody. There was one particular extra. I remember I had to punch him, and it's in the trailer you might have seen. I punched him. This guy looks very unassuming, doesn't look like what you think a star looks like, stereotypically. My character punches his character, and with the dead eyes, he turns right back to me like my punch did nothing. And I kept telling him the entire day, you are bad, oh, you are good, oh, you're amazing. Like, and this is somebody that had what? How many scenes? Like barely, maybe just that, and just soldiers running past. So that's probably the only time you see his face properly. But oh my god, he delivered so much, and all the other extras did that. So imagine now what the supports and the leads did. So I think people are going to love the performance. I think people are going to love how we were able to tell a mystical cultural story in a relatable 2025, 2026 atmosphere. And then personally, ironically, some of my best memories, oh God, I have so many. If I had to narrow it down, some of my best memories would just be having conversations with the cast and some of the crew. I know that's not part of the film, but the people James and Lillian were able to gather for this project, honestly, was almost spiritual. I've used that word before, but I'm using it again. It was almost spiritual because there were conversations we'd be having about life after the shoot, and I was learning so much from people that were younger than me, older than me, more experienced, less experienced. It just didn't matter. It was just like a lot of wisdom and and kindness going around the set. And I would say the scenery as well. Oh my God, I stood on mountains and hills just looking around and saying, if this is what I'm saying from a hilltop, God, man, what are you saying? What did you make? You know, it just it humbled me, made me understand how small or yet important my role is in the world. And I would have to say, sitting with Lexan Peters was also quite an experience. The moment he came on set, he was such a pretty boy. I was like, how are they going to make like look like Nosa? By the time makeup and costume finished with him, he looks rugged enough when he spoke. And then, you know, he's such a spiritual person as well. So talking with him, talking with Tosin, Mr. Sagi Alegbe, Fatima Omokwe. Funny enough, I don't talk to these people much, but like what the impression they had on me is gonna last for a very, very long time.
Well, then
That was it.
I can't wait for you to say something that Lexan said about you. It's coming.
Aww.
The cast interview, we did one really crazy. Trust me, they didn't hold back.
I love that guy.
I can't wait. It was
He's so
really,
cool.
really, really, really sweet and emotional.